To my channel. This is my first video as Multiversal Know-It-All, and today I'm going to be discussing my favorite Batman comic book runs. I have always loved superheroes and Star Wars and Marvel and DC at a young age, but I've recently just started comic books about a year ago, and I thought for a first comic book review would be obviously, in my opinion, one of the greatest heroes, Batman. Um, so I'm gonna start from my favorite to at least favorite, but they're all very good in their own way. I think some are overrated than others, but I'll do my first book right now. Absolute Batman: The Long Halloween. I have not even read this in this format. I read it in the trade paperback, but it is by far, I think, the greatest Batman story, and one of the greatest comic books ever. Um, I think it's fantastic. I know people are mixed on this. Is like wonderful. I love how it makes you feel like I'm reading a real book. Um, I know people have mixed thoughts about him nowadays, Jeff Loeb. But I haven't read any of his present writing. I also haven't read his new Batman Long Halloween. I heard that he made a new one. The art is like fantastic on it. It's like one of the best. I think it's the best art I've seen in my life. One of my favorite panels in this is definitely one of my favorite pages in comic books, I think, because it's just so colorful and fantastic. Long Halloween, I think of like Sopranos. I haven't finished it, but I think of Sopranos and Godfather and Batman, which is Italian gangsters. Just fantastic. That's why the Penguin show, off topic. The Penguin show is very, very good, and I mean, I wouldn't say underrated, but it doesn't get talked about as much anymore. In the ending, I will not spoil it. One of the craziest endings to a show in and they need to make a season 2 ASAP, and he needs to be in the next Batman movie, which is never going to come out. So this entire run is just amazing. I only have Omnibus Volume 2. I have the separate volumes in trade paperback. Let me just show you real quick. For the Owl Saga in compact, which I loved these compacts when I first was getting into comics. Now, it's so small. It's so small. I don't know how I feel about it. But this was a fantastic read. I binged this in like one day. Um, it got a little bit interesting towards the end. I know people said it got worse toward the end, but the plot twists were not the plot. Again, another story that has you interpreting stuff. Like, was he actually Batman's spoilers? At the end, it's the Court of the Owls. Well, not the Court of the Owls. The guy who's trying to kill the Court of the Owls turns out to be maybe Bruce's brother that died in a car crash, but we don't know if he's lying or not. I don't know what the canon. I'm sure there's a canon explanation for it, or like something that talked about like the actual canon, what actually happened. But I want to believe that it's Bruce's brother, because I think that is a nice interpretation. And Scott Snyder, he really, he goes extreme. Like, there are some panels. I mean, he's like in a full-on Batman mech suit, and like when they're fighting him in the cave, it's fantastic. I mean, I'll talk about Absolute Batman in a little bit, but he just goes so metal. And also Greg Capullo, who is the artist, is, I will say, I had to warm up to him at first, because I don't know if I'm a huge fan of the eyes. I think he makes the eyes very blue, and Bruce's eyes are very, 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 very blue. But he has such an interesting style, and he's like, I don't know. I like it. I don't think I like it as much as Nick Dragata's. No way. Volume 3 was The Death of the Family, which was, I don't know. I liked it. It was violent. The end was cool. How I believe that I think he figured out it was Bruce. He was Bruce Wayne, or then he died, but he didn't die. Obviously, I think. Actually, what happened? I think it was like a whole. Oh, I do know that. Yeah, that's right. Bruce's family were very traumatized and started to dislike Bruce Wayne because he didn't tell them himself, which led to them getting um, very traumatized by the Joker. I know there's tie-ins to this. I didn't read them. Probably should have, but I did not read them. I enjoyed that one. I think I enjoyed Batman 4 Year more, which is obviously the past. Oh, well, I guess it's not obviously, but 0 Year. 0 Year. So at first I was like, not sure if I dig this, because I'm not a huge fan of, like, I love flashbacks in comics, don't get me wrong, but I'm not a huge fan of the setting that was on. But it honestly reminded me a lot of the Batman 2022, which I don't know, I'm sure there's people that connected it, but in Batman 2022, it's the Riddler, and he flooded the whole city, and like, and so this book is kind of like volume 5 is honestly like that, but he actually succeeds and becomes like the king of Gotham. So I thought that was really interesting. It was cool. It was a very detective story, which also reminded me of Batman 2022, which I saw obviously before I read this comic. But one of my favorite like appearances of this book, I mean, it was a terrifying villain, was Dr. Death. Like, I know he was like one of the very early villains in the 1930s. I looked it up after, but he was genuinely terrifying. It's like, this panel is crazy. Like, he's terrifying, and like the way he works is, I believe that he, like, his bones are not, every time you touch him, you kind of like it hurts him. Like, his bones started to like go up or like expand. Then the omnibus is where he encounters a new villain. Joker in this book is very like scary and like a nightmare. Like, people describe him as not real, or something like that. He made a gas though to control the Justice League, so they started fighting Batman. It was pretty awesome, I'm not gonna lie. And that's what I think about Scott Snyder. Like, he thinks like he goes beyond the norm, and he really just makes a fun story. Actually, there are these mini stories in this book where he like torments these patients and makes them believe that Joker is like not real, and he like saved them, and like there are some very dark stories that involve in that. One of the stories that made me go like gasp was that Joker made this person believe that his family were robots, and she had like 2 children and a husband, and she murdered them. Like, it was insane. It was very disturbing for a book like, I mean, it's a Joker, it's disturbing, but like, I was very surprised about how far it went. And then that happened, and then the therapist eventually has to kill the patients because they've gone crazy. And I know you just find it was good. Yeah, there's 5 of them, and they're about to kill her because Joker told them to, and like, yada yada yada. And they're about to bang to the door, and Joker, who's real now, like he's there, gives her 5 bullets for them, each one of them, and she has to decide which story is real, which is not true. None of them are real. Then he gives her a 6-1 just in case, and she kills them and says blam 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 blam. That's 6 times. So I'm pretty sure she offed herself, which is unfortunate. But it was like, this little mini arc was very interesting. I'm not a fan of all these like tie-ins, but this was a fantastic tie-in, and that's really made this Joker storyline. Because other than that, the storyline was cool, but it felt it was interesting. It just made Joker seem like he was more than a regular person, which is cool. He does die in the final fight of the Joker during that, and very weird. They eventually revive him because they were going through all the other Batmans, and they learn that they can just revive this Batman because there's the idea of there's so many Batmans in other universes, and so they just like do the loop again, where it's a Batman loop. So the next Batman takes over, and then because Bruce Wayne's still alive, but Batman is dead somehow. I don't remember exactly how that happened. But they just had to make Bruce Wayne remember that, and once he remembered he was Batman, he was back to his old self, or his regular self. And of course, now he's not regular Bruce Wayne, he can't live a happy life, which he was before this happened. So it was unfortunate for him, but so it went through all the different Batmans. Yeah, this is went through all the different Batmans, like as many Batmans and how they died. I think it's like an Easter egg. I think that's really crazy. There's those Batmans. And then he comes back and he loses his girlfriend. Well, not loses, but I don't think he will remember her after this, and she's like crying because he could have died from this, definitely. And he did kind of like Bruce Wayne died, Batman lives. Like his persona is just Batman. So that happened, and this very, very unique villain that I hope comes to an animation or live action at some point, Mr. Bloom, who is terrifying, and he wants to destroy the city, but he wants it like the way it was, I believe, and he goes into this crazy thing. Right over there. Right there. Very interesting villain. He made seeds that controlled people, and it made them attack for him. It's very insane. Right there is like, that's Mr. Bloom still. So I'll have to look up his motive, but it wasn't a very good motive. I felt like it was just destroying the city and that's what he wanted. He wanted chaos. That's what he wanted. Yeah. He just wanted chaos, and I guess that's a great motive for doing that. No, it's not. And then at the end, there was a tie-in that I didn't like very much. It was in the future, and like Joker was his little buddy. And overall, that book is fantastic. And that Scott Snyder run, issue 1 through 50, is overall very good, and my second favorite run behind Long Halloween. And then now, I think this is probably number 1 for most people, but Absolute Batman. This is just volume 1, but I'll just talk about it. It'll show you some of the craziest things in this book. The art is fantastic. Nick Dragotta, he did Fantastic Four for a little bit. He did the Future Foundation in Hickman's run. And then he did Hickman again with, I believe, East to West, which I've read 3 volumes of. So this first volume is just his backstory mostly. His dad, instead of his dad and mom dying, it's his dad who only died. And it was in the zoo because I think he just got shot in the zoo. Something happened. He was involved in bad business, I believe. I don't remember exactly what happened. I kind of forget. I know that the recent issue episode Batman was explaining all it. Like, I'm not going to spoil, but it actually explained mostly all this. Yeah, his Batmobile in this is pretty crazy. I'm not going to lie. I'm not good at showing this, but it's good. This entire comic book is just extreme, and this is what made me get into comics again too. By the way, like this, like I'm picking up comics every week now. Like, this really revived the comic industry, and I'm very glad. I hope it stays like this because the Marvel's Ultimates run was handled poorly and very terribly, and it's a shame. It's really a shame. But Fantastic Read, I don't want to spoil anything, and especially this is ongoing. I don't want like you guys. You should pick this up immediately. Pick up whatever volumes you need. Pick up it every week at Wednesday. The back issues. Fantastic Read. Like if you want to get into old comics again, and you like that feeling of action and extreme and amazing art and buff Batman and new ideas, this is still Batman. Just a twist on it. Not a very humongous twist, just a nice twist. Yeah, his rogues, the rogue gallery doesn't start out as evil, they're actually his friends. And, like, his best friends. And you'll... Yeah, that's right. So it was just a zoo killing. And actually in the new Lego Batman game, I need to finish, but, in order to unlock the Absolute Batman suit, which is incredible. I mean, that's what that is. You have to, I think, like, capture animals around Gotham and bring them back to the zoo, which is a cool twist because, or not cool, like a nice play on, because that's how his father died at the zoo, and that's how his origin of Batman began. That's cool. And then Batman: The Killing Joke, which it's cool. I feel like knowing already about this before I read it made me mad, but it's so short. It is literally 3 issues long. And Alan Moore, oh my gosh. Maybe I'll talk about Alan Moore's Swamp Thing in another video. I've read 3 volumes of it. It is probably the best comic I've ever read in my life. I haven't read Watchmen, but I watched the movie. I watched the cartoon, the comic movie part 1 and 2. And those are just phenomenal. Alan Moore is, solely because Swamp Thing is like a fantastic read. This is a very dark comic. He shoots Barbara and does some extremely villainous and evil, menacing things to Commissioner Gordon when he captures him and makes him watch videos of Barbara Gordon, which was very disturbing to read, and Alan Moore really took it all the way in this one. I don't remember it all that well. I just know Batman eventually defeats him, but it's left up into interpretation if Batman kills him or not. Obviously, I think that things he did in this run, like if this was his first time meeting Joker, I don't think it was. He's about to kill him, I think, or Batman's laughing with the Joker because it's like this is the end of the road. They're laughing together, and then it's left for interpretation if he kills him or not, because it like slowly pans out of here because the cop cars are coming. Yeah, this is the famous panel that apparently the original's better. This is the remastered, I think. I mean, it is. He's never been like this. Like, this is insanity. Batman like takes a hold of him, like it's looking like he's like choking him, and like people think those are the cop cars, the lights right there. And then, I mean, he could have just been arrested and he stopped laughing, but I like to believe that. I don't know. I don't want him to believe anything. I'd like to believe that he ended it right there because he did. This was more extreme than anything he's ever done. But it was cool seeing Batman laugh at the Joker, I guess. So, yeah. I have Batman Dark Mirror that I have not read yet. It's back there. I believe it's called Black Mirror. Yes. And Under the Red Hood I have not read yet. But I'm going to work on that. Anyway, I hope to make more videos. I want to talk about my signed comics over here. My Absolute Batman issue 16 signed by Jock. PSA 9.6, of course not 9.7. Or 8, but that's fine. And I have others I want to talk about made. That'll be my next video. But anyway, thank you for tuning in. Like, subscribe, comment if you want, and bye-bye.